Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we finished the major encounter in the woods here in the first section of Rivia, and then we also did a much more minor, at least certainly much easier, puzzle over here as well. As for what we have planned next, we've gone past a couple of places where we either know there's going to be some kind of encounter, or we suspect there's going to be something important, so... And this looked like it was just some kind of Nilfgaardian guard dude, and maybe that means it's a battle, maybe that means it's some other type of encounter. Maybe we go there first. I think we were wondering if perhaps we might be able to do some encounters that might give us additional cards that could make our deck a little bit stronger before we start going into major encounters like the main quest, and I suspect this is going to be pretty big here, assuming that there has to be something in that big city, right? And I don't even think we got anything from that puzzle there, so that was kind of the intention of having done that before, but I mean, we could check if there's anything upgrade-wise we can do here. Weren't we? Oh yeah, we were experimenting a fair bit with our trinkets as of late, and I'm not entirely sure if some of the new things like Fake Florin are going to be worth including long-term. Tainted Ale certainly does work well with our infiltrators, although there's that competing priority between those and the Skellige guys. Then Mahakam Ale, when we remember to use it with the correct timing, has, I think, been pretty effective for us. And then the Artifact Compression, this might be the one that I'm most conflicted about, because with the Restraint, it's hard for us to target something really big, but if we do happen to see a big non-boss enemy, then we can completely remove that, which is nice, and sometimes that in and of itself is decent value. But then when we play the Jade figurine, it's what, 10 points, and then if it gets touched, it gets destroyed, which is always a bit tricky. So I have mixed feelings about that one. There is a chance that there are other ways we can make our trinkets more meaningful. Hold on a second. So we got this somewhat recently, right? And I think when I saw it at first, I completely dismissed it because I thought... I was probably thinking within the context of multiplayer Gwent, like, okay, Deathwish abilities, sure, they're decent, but, you know, not really sure that is enough of a reason to be including this. But we have... And when we first got this, we might not have yet had much in the way of Deathwish, but we do now. We actually do now. That comes from the Skellige guys. Okay, so that would mean we would need to have them on the battlefield already. And then as long as that's the case, we can spawn 3 copies of them, immediately destroy them. So power up all the other ones on the board, and then assuming that it is a multi-round match, or at least a match when we can get Dogger out, we could then replay them with Dogger. That is a lot of potential. Now, if we don't get a Skellige guy, then it completely bricks, but we've so many of them at this point, and with our leader ability, we can just about guarantee we're going to get at least 1 or 2, if not more of them, and at that point, you'd think it's almost certainly more than worth it. So that looks pretty meaningful. And in that case, is it the Artifact Compression we drop? Or would it be Fake Florin? I think it's probably one of those two. I think Fake Florin does get a little bit awkward. This does rely on our opponents playing 2 big cards right next to each other, and that's a little bit tricky to do, because, well, we have very little control over it. So, sure, we'll try that out. Okay, and maybe that'll make us a little bit stronger in that case. But let's head on back. I think maybe we'll check out that Nilfgaardian dude and see what that's all about. Is it a battle? Is it a conversation of some sort that doesn't necessarily lead to a direct conflict? I don't know. But yeah, it looks like some kind of ransacked village that's in pretty rough shape. Looks like he's the only soldier there. So, you know, read into that however you will. What is your deal? Oh! Okay, that's weird. I did not really... I mean, I assumed we were going to have a more full-blown dialogue and full-fledged quote-unquote encounter, not just a report like this, but let's see. My queen, The village has been slaughtered to the last. Not a soul remaining. That is, save for a few Nilfgaardians. Okay, I was going to say, I was pretty sure that person was wearing Nilfgaardian armor out here, and the report did not seem as though this was coming from a Nilfgaardian perspective. They claim to have arrived only recently in order to learn the fate of their collector. Huh? It arrived in the village a few days past and has since vanished without a trace. What shall we do with the Blackclads? They've offered to buy their freedom. Their release, however, may lead to unrest with our soldiers. So we can basically have the Nilfgaardians pay us off for their freedom. That would give us 150 gold, lower our morale. We're currently on neutral, we'd be on low. We can have them shackled and bound. That raises our morale, but doesn't do anything else. We can have them join our forces. Can never have too many camp laborers. Lowers morale, gives us recruits. Okay, so presumably the recruits aren't going to matter, because we hopefully don't need to craft anything. So it's basically a matter of what do we value more? The 150 gold or high morale? I don't remember if we've encountered any shrines yet. I want to say we've walked past at least one thus far. So I think for that reason, I mean, you could still make the case this is functionally a free shrine, and then we could save that shrine for a later occasion. And we might be about to go into a big counter in that city we were talking about before, but I still feel like it might be the gold. Now, we don't have that many meaningful upgrades left to make, so is that gold of any use to us? Maybe not. Maybe morale is the only thing that matters at this point, but I think we give this a shot. As much as our soldiers may hate us for it, and also nab, oh, actually, somewhat sizable amount of gold there. Anything else? Might be worth double checking real quick. I think it was basically just the upgrade for reducing the recruit cap cost of our units. This definitely feels like there's going to be a hidden treasure chest here on a later occasion, one that will probably require a treasure map. Or did we might have seen one there. Or I definitely was commenting about how that'd be pretty grim if it was next to those graves. But yeah, let's double check. Because as I was just saying, I mean, it might be that there's almost nothing meaningful for us to upgrade anymore. Okay, so we actually did do this one already. That might have been recent then. This is astronomically expensive from a gold standpoint, though. So, realistically, I don't know if this is ever gonna happen, because we might not have enough time to gather that much gold. But, who knows? So, I mean, if not, then basically it means that for all intents and purposes, gold and potentially wood as well are completely meaningless to us. I mean, we want to keep some in case we actually do need to craft some kind of unit on a later occasion, but I think we probably should be fine in that regard, because we already have some to spare, and presumably we'll get at least a little bit more, even if we don't necessarily make a committed effort to it. So alas, we shall see. But this is the thing that I've been alluding to. This looks like a pretty big deal over here. Let's see if we can learn anything from this. Oh, well, it's another letter. Okay. Is this any different from the one that we saw previously? It looks pretty similar. Rivians, I, Queen Meve, hereby proclaim that upon regaining our homeland, I shall immediately cease all production within local workshops and forges. All goods thereafter shall be imported from our comrades' workshops in Mahakam. I was really expecting that to say Nilfgaard, just to make it even more obvious that this is propaganda that the Nilfgaardians are trying to spread to make Meve look terrible. As you are well aware, dwarven craftsmanship has consistently demonstrated undeniable superiority in quality over domestic goods. I mean, maybe it's a little less obvious if it's Mahakam in this case rather than the Nilfgaardians, and that's maybe too easy for the citizens to figure out that it's all a ruse. But okay, so there's clearly something here. I suspect it's going to be really big. My concern is that it might be so big that, especially now that we're on low morale, it might be rather tricky. We could, I mean, we should probably test it out, but if not, then we can potentially still go over here. I imagine there'll be something over in this corner, probably something here as well, and probably something here as well. So that's another reason why I felt relatively okay about lowering our morale, because even if this is tough, hopefully we can get some other opportunities to try something else out, and we do have a shrine over here if absolutely necessary, though probably would like to save that if we can. So let's see what this is all about. As I said, I think this is probably going to be a fairly major encounter here. Perhaps? That's interesting.
Meve arrived at the walls of Gradobor, famed for fine rugs and woven tapestries. The city's artisans had been at work, no doubt pressed by the Nilfgaardians, for atop the tallest spire, that of the town hall, flapped a lustrous ebony flag, a sun of golden threads at its center.
Yeah.
So vast was the banner, Gascon whistled in admiration.
Gotta admit, the Blackclads certainly have panache.
And a vast and powerful army, I'd remind you.
Reynard interjected.
Arbalists line the walls. That stench in the air, hot tar. Victory's not likely to come cheap, I fear.
Okay. This seems like a time when we may not want to engage in direct battle with them. Or... okay, this is not the main quest. So it did not have the major icon next to it. Although, I mean, we can't just... I have no idea if we can come back here on a later occasion if we say no now. So, I mean, we have to at least give this a shot, right?
No cost is too high,
said Meve.
I mean, I disagree, but then again...
Gascon, ready our men to attack.
The Lyrians needed no more encouragement. Since arriving, they had reveled in anticipation of taking the city, then ripping the banner from its spire.
Okay, had we heard mention of this city specifically before? Because it really sounds like it from the way this has been framed. And it looks like this is going to be, as we suspected. It's a lot of build-up saying that this is going to be pretty tough. It's a shortened battle. Okay, just one round. That's probably bad news for us, to be honest. Because that makes it harder to maximize the value of the Skellige guys. I mean, the new trinket that we just put in might make it a little bit more reliable to pull their stuff off in just one round, but we'll see. So, Siege of Gradobor. Meve instructed Raynor to personally command the catapults and ballistae during the siege. It's like, I feel like there would have been... Maybe I'm just totally forgetting this, but just coming out of nowhere, suddenly we have siege engines? Apparently? I've no recollection of us having spoken about those before. Don't know where we got them. We definitely didn't have them before we got into Rivia. But now they're here. And now we're just gonna, with the snap of our fingers, start sieging this place. So after all, they were attacking their own city. Any missile off its mark would fall upon the heads of the Queen's own subjects. And they have suffered enough in this war. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about alternate rules or anything like that. Which, you know, that last sentence there kind of implies that there might be some consequences if we have damage against, civilians, which, maybe they'll start with cards that we are not allowed to destroy or something like that. So, whoa, hold on. Let's see. They have a gate. They have palisades. That makes sense. We've seen many of those before. Arbalists damage enemy by 2 whenever an ally appears. Gain 1 charge. Okay, we've seen these guys plenty of times before as well. And usually we destroy this, it destroys the palisades, and we get powered up. Every turn start, boost a random ally unit by 2, give it 2 armor. Deathwish, destroy all palisades, boost all enemies in hand, deck, and on the battlefield by 2. Okay. So, leader ability. Damage enemy by the number of your allied units. We've definitely seen more or less this exact setup before. Okay. So, we can't use you on the actual castle gate, because I believe it's considered a boss. Yeah. That'd be too easy, I'm afraid. We did stick with the artifact compression. We now have the Divana Runestone, which, as long as we have some Disgraced Warriors or Skellige guys of some variety, should be fine. Infiltrator, double Infiltrator, and Alchemist with Machimael. So again, this is the question, is basically, do we go all in on this combo, or do we go for the Skellige guys with just one round? You might think Skellige guys less effective, but with the Divana Runestone, maybe that's less so the case now. We still have our leader ability as well, which we'd probably look to get up more Skellige guys for those synergies, and maybe sacrifice all the Disgraced Warriors and use Dogger to get them back out. I'd like to get Isbel as well, presumably. Reynard, since his upgrade, has become much more powerful, so that's also tempting. So it might be worth trying to mulligan a few things, see if we can get those. Also like to go Machimael first, ideally. Okay. not necessarily convinced we want Alchemist. I mean, yes, it does work well with these guys, but... I mean, this hand is not bad. It's just that it's a mixture of two very distinct things that require different setup.
The walls are strong.
Okay, everyone is saying this is going to be difficult, so I don't know if it's any tougher than previous encounters we've had that have at least looked similar to this. But technically speaking, we probably should go Mahakamail first. And as much as I would like to get Dogger out here, technically speaking, I think we save our second leader ability charge for him because he's just not meaningful until we get Skellige guys in our graveyard, and that hasn't happened yet. So we could, and probably should, go leader to get 2 more of these guys. It's also too early for Reynard. It's also too early for an Isbel. Yeah, so that was the case to be made for getting more aggressive on our mulligans. Okay, so let's go get rid of you. And I guess I think it's probably you, because that's, I think, the one we prefer to do with our... It doesn't matter which one we use with the Mono Runestone. I mean, I guess we're going to get those guys back out with Dogger. So eventually we will be playing them, and they will not just immediately die. So, I mean, let's get either kind of them, I suppose.
Waiting for a personal invitation?
If they happen to destroy one of them, then we can use the Divana Runestone on the other, but we should probably still go Mahakamail first. So the longer that's on the board, the more effective it becomes. That's not bad stuff to get boosted from it. Okay. So you're... Oh, I mean, that's fine. That's totally fine. And as I said, we kind of expected... We were prepared for having something like that happen. So is that worth doing immediately, the Divana Runestone? It might be. It might be. Otherwise, well, Patricide, the earlier we get him out, the better. So you're already kind of big. You're gonna boost the other guys. It's gonna be a while until they become the biggest unit, so I'm just also eyeing Tainted Ale and the Infiltrators and the Alchemist, because we kept the Alchemist, right? Yeah, 'cause across all those cards, that is going to take a little while, so we should make sure we give ourselves enough time to make that work. But let's go, let's see, you're 3 damage? Yeah, I think we probably use you to destroy this guy, and then I'm still conflicted about what we want to do with you and the Tainted Ale. So let's get Patricide out.
Tomorrow I drink with our forefathers!
Let's do this. The question is just who is the second target. I mean, it could be the castle gate. Yeah, sure. See if we can break through that.
Order!
Okay, more of those guys. And if you want to keep on targeting the Skellige dudes, that is just going to help us, so that's fine. And... oh, we do have artifact compression as well, so if we were really concerned, we could dump one of those dudes. I think we're just spamming Skellige guys at this point. I'm gonna try to keep you as the only guy in this row for the time being, so you keep on getting boosted by Mahakamail. Whereas this one, you know, who knows who it's gonna end up being, but we don't want you to get destroyed, whereas the Skellige guys, we're okay with that happening. So I think we might just do that as often as we can. It's our damage, as long as Patricide stays up. Oh, what?
Someone's opening the gate.
What the heck?
Forward, march!
What the heck? It's a trap! It's totally a trap! Maybe? Possibly? What's going on? What's happening? Why'd that happen? Who did that? That was weird. Something's up. Very suspicious. Extremely suspicious. I don't like that. It's too easy. Do we have some inside source, some dude who's helping us? Who we might have forgotten about? Maybe, I don't know.
Come on!
I'm gonna keep on spamming these guys for now. So, you're in the middle of these two guys, so you're gonna get pretty big. So maybe you're the card that we focus on eventually getting with Tainted Ale and the Infiltrators as well. So in that case, let's focus on, I guess, you? And I guess we could still use the Disgraced Warrior now. As long as this one stays alive, then we still have a Divana Runestone target. Which may be something we want to do next, and then we go into all the Tainted Ale stuff. We'll finish with Artifact Compression, Alchemist. We should have enough time still, I think, to make all the things happen that we want to make happen. So yes, this should still work. Except that you survived. Oops. May have forgotten that we had armor. I mean, they'll destroy this guy for us, right? Probably, maybe. They've been quite helpful in that way. Thus far. Yeah, destroy this guy too, please. Okay. So now it probably is Divana Runestone time. Let's do that, and let's do, guess this. Okay, not bad. Technically, I think we would have liked to have done that, and I'm sure we'll, get a better sense as to how exactly to use that, but would have liked to have used that slightly earlier, I think, because the Death Wishes do not improve the power of the cards in our graveyard. These are the 3 that just got added. It's kind of weird, the glow that they have, but okay. So yeah, that's a minor thing, but technically means we could have gotten a few more points worth of value from that. And I suppose technically means we might want to wait to get Dogger to get the other ones back out before we use you, and if we're really min-maxing those guys. And we are going to want to use this very soon now. So I'm assuming we're going to get some explanation at some point as to why the gate just got destroyed. Okay, so I'm going to go for you. So you're going to keep on growing because you're getting boosted on both sides and you're already the biggest unit. Then it's going to be double Infiltrator. We'll hit you. Get rid of you. I mean, their damage has been kind of helpful thus far, so actually a little reluctant to have done that because they want to destroy this Disgraced Warrior. That's kind of fine by us.
Life is mine now.
So I'm kind of waiting for some unique boss dude to show up, and that just hasn't happened yet. Now, just make sure we put you on the correct spot, so boost by the unit to the right. So do this, and you will get boosted by that dude as well, so that's not bad either. And so, a little reluctant to hit this guy, but I mean, yeah, these guys have so much armor, it's not as if we're going to break through that anytime soon. This guy does too, but so they're going to have some kind of dramatic boss entrance here at some point. You're annoying. Okay. Not a great way. Well, I mean, we can still do this, I suppose. And we do need to do that on this turn. Otherwise, we're not going to be fast enough. Ah, I forgot about Patricide. Oops. Hopefully that doesn't matter, because we're getting some pretty big Infiltrators here. Oh, and I'm... forget a leader ability as well. Goodness gracious. Okay, let's just forget all the things while we're at it. I mean, we're going to get another one off cooldown anyway. So, that much doesn't really make a difference. I also don't remember who that was. Okay. So that probably would have been our preferred target for Oh no, here's one of the footmen. So that can be our preferred target for getting Dogger out here. So we're gonna probably do the compression on one of you guys because you're annoying. And Alchemist, we can wait until we get you bet. Wait, what? Oh, it already. Okay, so we got the order a little bit wrong there. Yeah, should have technically gone for an infiltrator slightly earlier. Because we destroyed the car that we wanted to get this guy over from. Okay, fair enough. We were always asking ourselves, like, do we have enough time if we do Ale and then infiltrator and then another infiltrator, or do we have to do an infiltrator first? And I didn't say it that time, but I was kind of thinking of it. And apparently we did actually need to go with one of the infiltrators first. We did not play it safe this time, and we did pay for it a bit. But all right, in that case, I think might still be worth more to just steal one of those guys, to be honest. Just because they're so valuable. Now we do this, and we're gonna put you back. Technically. Alright, lots of little things that if we're being really nitpicky, we are not playing them optimally. And they certainly could start to add up here, but I'd like to believe that we've set up some big enough combos that we don't need to be too concerned about that. So now we're definitely going to get Dogger out. No question about that. Isbel, I hate how it never shows what the value of this is. So I'm pretty sure it's a lot more than that. They do have a ton of armor, though, so Isbel might actually not be that effective here. Getting one of the Disgraced Brawlers out, I mean, they've gotten so much stronger from all the other Skellige guys we've sacrificed. That might be reason enough to do that. Or we go for an Alchemist. Equals the unit on its left. We would need to get a weak guy here, which is not that easy at the moment. Unless we do Dogger first. I think we can still make this work, actually. I think this is still preferable. Because I think the order is such that, yeah, we get these guys first. And you're just a 9. So to turn you into a 46 is still quite valuable. I think you're going to be tied for or right around the lowest number we get. And these guys are 8. These are the ones that got added from the trinket.
Waiting for a personal invitation.
Yeah, and so this row is boosting cards in their hand. This row is strengthening those guys. I mean, either way, I guess technically they only have 2 cards in their hand, so melee row, if we can do it, is preferable. Although we want to make sure that we have. Well, you'll come back here.
Come on, kill me.
We just want to do
If anyone asks,
that.
you've not seen me.
Okay, so yeah, it turns out that getting this many Skellige dudes, and we can sacrifice more of them, can be worth a whole lot. And that's before we get this infiltrator back, which, as we were saying, could have been worth 40 more points than it will actually end up being. Because here it comes, and I mean, it's still 22. That's 23. That's not bad. So unless they have something really dramatic here, I think it's going to be pretty tough for them to beat us. And this probably will be another Alchemist. Unfortunately, we don't have a great thing to play there. Unless we have another way to get another unit out, but I don't think... Well, unless we do Jade Figurine, but I imagine if we give them the chance, they'll be smart enough to destroy that. So it probably does still need to be this. And let's sacrifice Disgraced Warriors first. I think it's definitely worth it when we have this many on the board here. May need to do this one first, otherwise it may not get destroyed, or likewise for you. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. And we're basically just going to keep on feeding them, and I'm assuming that there are enough on the board that this is going to continue to pay off. Although at 15 points apiece, that may not be the case anymore. So I think we'll leave it at that, maybe. And now it just means we have some bigger units to work with here, so powering up this Alchemist might be the route we want to go? I think so. Because again, remember, we can't use the alchemist on itself, but we can use it on his
It's
friend.
been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Okay, so these guys I think we'll just leave unused, and we can probably get rid of you. I guess if we'd gotten rid of you, then maybe we could have gone with the Jade figurine, but who knows if they were going to have additional damage on this turn. Okay. We could destroy the pikemen, that'd be nice, although they played it so late that I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, these guys... the ones we have left, like this one, is so big that he absolutely could just tank the hit and then turn right around and demolish you. So that's an option, and we could go patricide first. That's still not going to make a huge difference, I suppose, but... sure, we'll do this. Oh, okay. Probably should have gone melee row, to be honest. But again, I think the little things may not matter much here, because, I mean, this is arguable as to whether this is worth doing, and we are actually above 300 points right now. We did get the achievement for that not long ago, so that's not really a concern, but... just in case some of these other cards were, yeah, at least some of them were Alba Pikemen, maybe that is still worth doing. So I have to imagine that this will be sufficient. Even after their boosting.
A bit of bloodletting.
Heal boost an ally. Oh no, not enough. We'll take the city. And I still don't really know what the whole deal was with the gate just getting destroyed. Kind of, sort of, automatically. Maybe we'll hear more about that.
The battle for Gradobor was a hard fight.
It actually was surprisingly easy.
Most had thought it might be. During the assault,
right.
At its critical juncture, a blow fell from the blue.
Yeah.
The unlikely heroes, merchants and burghers brought together by the city's guilds. A wave of them, all riled, swarmed the black-clads at the gates and opened them wide to let Lyria in.
There's our explanation. Is there a leader among this group?
As fighting died down around the city, Meve rode for the town hall on a personal quest. Nilfgaard's vast, garish banner rippled overhead.
Ah.
With its halyard cut, it plunged like a great black bird, stricken. It was the last any would see of the golden sun over Gradobor.
3 cheers! Hip, hip, hooray!
All right.
The Lyrians were victorious, though not without aid. Meve met with the merchants who had roused the townsfolk, inspired them to rise up and fight.
Many of my soldiers, dozens, perhaps hundreds, owe you their lives today.
Said the queen.
For that I am deeply grateful. No, deeply indebted. Should you know a way I might repay the debt, don't for a moment hesitate to ask.
Okay. Are they about to tell us what that might
The
be?
merchants exchanged glances.
That usually is a bad sound effect.
Grunted, agreed with each other without uttering a word. Then one, a clothfuller,
Give us every last crown you have.
stepped forth, bowed low, and spoke for them all.
Your Majesty, the invaders brought laws. Laws what don't agree with customs we've long held. Non-humans they forced us to accept. Let them join our guilds, sit on the city council. It's right ridiculous it is. These treacherous dwarves.
Okay.
Well, they've been on their side from the start, so it's no wonder. But, well, the Nilfgaardian reforms, we'd like you to revoke them.
I see.
Humans must know their place.
And
I
awkward
see.
silence ensued. All turned their eyes to the queen.
Awkward silence indeed. Okay, so obviously the whole whatever you want, the persecution of, maybe that's a strong way of phrasing it, but at least the poor treatment of non-humans is something that obviously the Northern Realms and Lyria and Rivia specifically, we would probably like for that not to happen there, but it is unfortunately a custom of sorts, And in some ways, it is one thing that Nilfgaard does kind of do better than the Northern Realms, is they are more accepting of dwarves and elves and other non-humans. So now we have to decide. It is the custom of our enemy, but it is in some ways better. So how do we weigh those two things? Fulfill the merchant's request, repeal the reforms, or keep the Nilfgaardian reforms in place. So what I'm guessing to metagame here a little bit is that if we keep the reforms in place, it might lower our morale, and we will not get any resources out of this. Whereas if we do fulfill the merchant's request, then they may give us resources and or raise our morale in the process. Might gain recruits, although that is less meaningful, and we'll feel bad about ourselves. So I don't know. I don't know how significant these guys really are. We do have some non-humans in our retinue right now. You know, Gabor probably would not be terribly pleased with us if we were to do this. Ooh. Okay. Is that reason enough? Are we concerned that I mean, once upon a time, Gabor was one of the better cards in our deck. Right now, that may no longer be the case, so, you know, maybe we do this and we live with the consequences.
Your city.
Meve began slowly.
And that does seem like it's going to have some major consequences.
So be it. I hereby strike down all Nilfgaard's reforms.
The townsmen grasped each other's shoulders and vigorously shook hands, toothy grins spreading upon all their faces. Yet when they asked the queen to stay and feast, she politely but firmly declined.
Yeah, no thanks.
Her army left Gradobor that very day. She rode at its fore, angry and silent.
Yeah.
I know.
Meve finally blurted to Reynard, her eyes still facing forward.
I know I granted a wicked request. But I can't hope to easily end hate, distrust, wipe away years of bloodshed. Not with one decree. To force those tradesmen to accept non-humans, allow them into their guilds, would have changed nothing. Do you understand, Reynard?
Alas, she could not tell, for Reynard held his tongue.
Interesting. I mean, I can kind of see how Reynard would be one in particular to take issue with this, just because he is quite noble, generally speaking, in what he aims to do. On the other hand, obviously he's a human, and he's from either Lyria or Rivia, I assume, or at least has worked for the queen for, I think, decades, or something like that. So it's not as if this is some completely new concept to him. So in some ways, I was expecting, you know, other teammates of ours, other heroes, would be more concerned about this. Again, Gabor being the most obvious because he's a dwarf, but alas, he's not as much in the limelight as Reynard is.
Gabor Zigrin was not the silent type.
Is what I'm curious about.
Blunt. He asked to see the queen at the first opportunity.
So he might just leave.
Began the dwarf, a note of pain and sadness in his voice.
But I've always respected your decisions. That is...
Until now.
till the day.
Yep.
I fear this is where we part, lass.
Yep, okay. And understandable.
Fare you well.
Honestly, understandable. And we saw that that was likely to be a potential outcome. So, can't say that I'm surprised. I honestly can't say that I blame him. The question that I have is there any... and because once upon a time he was one of our stronger cards, and there are still some use cases for him, sure, but he's not nearly as big a factor as he once was, so that was, not gonna lie, a major reason why I was willing to accept that risk, that he might leave. Because nowadays, you know, we're always talking about, well, how many Skellige guys can we get out as early as possible? And if not those guys, then okay, well, here are the Infiltrators combined with the Tainted Ale, and yes, every once in a while, we need just a big source of damage, and he was good for that. And we did, once upon a time, make some compromises with Ruver, just to get Gabor to stick with us in the first place, post-Mahakam. But, I mean, I think basically he served us well in the time that he was here. We definitely did need him while we had him. But now that we have the Skellige guys, he's, at least from a pure gameplay standpoint, no longer a critical piece of our deck. So I think for that reason, it's okay that he leaves. On the other hand, obviously, he is, or at least was, a relatively major partner of ours on our quest, and so to lose him, in that sense, who knows if there will be some later occasion on which having him with us might have still paid off for us from a more narrative standpoint. So, that raises the question of, was there any upside at all to appeasing those merchants? I have no idea. And so if there's no downside to just making them mad at you, or the downside is, you lower your morale for the team, then, alright, yeah, in hindsight would have preferred that, but obviously we didn't have that knowledge at the time. And so, for all those reasons, not good, but still,
she knew not to try.
We knew that it was a reasonable chance that might happen, and I think we can live with it. So a little bit painful, but not something that came as a complete surprise to us. So naturally, I am now very curious to see. Naturally, I am curious to see what the other direction, the other choice would have led us to. And not only are the Nilfgaardian flags gone now, but Rivian flags are up.
Rivia for Rivians. Dwarves to the mountains. Elves to the forests. Halflings to their halfling holes.
And it's, it's fitting that there are dwarves here just to sort of reinforce the decision that we made and make it feel more impactful. But at the same time, let's be honest, it's a little bit of a stretch. It's mostly humans in Rivia, right? So this feels like it's a little heavy-handed, though, and, a little unrealistic to suddenly just have more than half the people in this village be dwarves. Like, I'm gonna have to say that is probably not all that accurate. We do learn of some additional things here. A couple of battles, we suspected there might be things here, and something there as well. So yes, losing Gabor is certainly a big loss in some respects, but in others, in truth, I think it was a hit that we could still stand to weather.
Dwarves are good to die for Rivia. The native living it, eh? Dwarves are
Okay, and that's all you have to say. So, is that gonna come back to bite us in the butt? It very well may, but at least purely from a gameplay standpoint, I think we can still get by without Gabor. Painful as it may be. But thank you all for watching. I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here, so I'll catch you next time.